Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, among the many groups of people desperate to get out of Afghanistan as the Taliban tightens its grip, are women who campaign for female rights there. Many of them have faced repeated death threats over the years by the Taliban, who fiercely oppose what they're doing. Most of those women are now seeking to escape from Afghanistan or have gone into hiding in the country, hoping they'll be safe. But with the Taliban now in power and already reneging on some of its promises to respect human and women's rights, there are increasing fears that many of these brave women who fought so hard and have achieved so much over the last 20 years could now be imprisoned or even killed by the Taliban.
The Taliban wars against women. They don't want a woman to be educated. They take away the rights from the woman. The first thing they do, they take away everything from a woman. The same thing. I was the symbol of freedom of women in Afghanistan. As a woman, that I raised my voice and tried to go against what they believe. And unfortunately, it ended up risk my life and my family's life. And I have been threatened so many times by them. My brother got shot by them. And it's just really, really scary situation for any woman to be in. They're the same people. Already in Kabul, you see no sign of any woman. Any pictures of a woman in the stores and the walls, it has been already blacked out. There's no woman in the city. One woman already got killed because she didn't have a burqa on. How can I even trust that word? How the world can trust that word?
Well, my next guest today is Fatana Gailani, director of the Afghanistan Women's Council and one of the most prominent advocates of Afghan women's rights. And she joins me now from the Afghan capital, Kabul. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I wonder if you heard the woman there who's an Afghan pilot talking about life and the way that it's changed in the last few days, changed for the worse under the Taliban. What is your assessment of the way things are at the moment where you are in Kabul?
Thank you very much. In this 6 days when the Taliban took all Afghanistan and they are come to in Kabul, life is very changed now. Nobody knows about our tomorrow. What's happening is coming. Now in Afghanistan, we don't have no government, but everybody, not only women, is worried about our future. Also in this country, the man also is worried about our future. We are very sad why the world, the Western country, especially United States, is make with Afghanistan in this kind of things, in this kind of politics. And they spend 2 years with peace talk in Doha. The result is become zero. They are not honest with Afghanistan, but they are not honest with Afghan people. It's very big shame for the Western country, for the American government. We are very upset. Why peacefully they are not solve the issue, the problem in Afghanistan? And they keep very dictator man like Ashraf Ghani in Afghanistan. Now in Afghanistan, nobody not understand. Everybody is very confused. We are not understand what is going on in tomorrow. But for us, is very, very important is peace and security. Security for all the people, not only security for the women. I'm working for women's rights, human rights, more than 4 decades. But more than 3 decades, I am asking from the international community, for all the people in the world, for the peace, to help Afghan people for peace. But nobody is listening us. Just they are talking about women's rights. We are getting tired with this women's rights. People is talking in the Western country. Afghanistan women is want to peace in good government, responsible government. And also I hope that now international communities not leave us alone, and especially Western country in United States, and to work very seriously, very honestly to stop this war. Afghanistan is destroyed by war. Afghan people has become very poor. The Afghan people has become very sad, and many women is lost our husband. Many children they lost our fathers, and we have many thousand millions women's widow in Afghanistan. I'm worried about the future in my country, not only about my right, about my daughter's rights, about man's right also. But just we want to be stop this game and stop this war, and we want peace, we want democracy, we want to women's right, and we want to be killing stop in this country.
Right. Well, I mean, I can certainly relate to some of the things that you're saying there and the things that you'd like to see happen in your country. The problem, of course, is that those things seem unlikely now to happen, given the fact that the Taliban have taken over. I mean, you mentioned confusion in Afghanistan, but is there also fear? Are you, for instance, afraid because the Taliban are fiercely opposed to women's rights, and you've been a strong advocate of women's rights?
Yes, in the 6 days, my office, my colleagues, they are not coming, they are not trust the situation, they are worried, and they are not coming for our job. And myself also, I'm talking with a lot of newspaper and with a lot of television, radio. I give interview, explain the situation, but in myself also, I'm staying at home. I don't like to leave Afghanistan. I don't want to become a refugee to the Western country. I want to try to put my voice to the international community, to the international countries, like Western countries, like United States, to please, soon as possible, to come to Afghanistan back, because now all the Western is to close our diplomacy contacts in Afghanistan. They close our embassy in Afghanistan, and they leave us Afghanistan is alone. And I request them, please come to work with us for peace, for the security for Afghanistan people. And I'm worried about the women, especially this woman. They have lost our husband in this 4 decades, our husband. And from where, if they are not have go to job, to not find and to not have job, how to find food for our children. And the country every day, every minute has become poor. Economy situation is very difficult for the women in Afghanistan. We are not only talking about Afghan women living in Kabul, we are caring about the women inside the country, and like in Daikundi, in Bamiyan, in Kunar, in Paktia, in Paktika, in Helmand, in another part of Afghanistan, in Badakhshan. I'm worried about everybody, but then I hope we request our friends, international friends, to come back to Afghanistan, please, to work with us for peace, to stop this war.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've just got to come in there and ask you a few questions. I mean, are there any indications, because obviously part of what a lot of people are watching this and they want to know what the situation is for women at the moment in Afghanistan. Are there any indications that the Taliban are looking for people like yourself who are advocates of women's rights, that they're targeting people like you or other women?
No, they are to now saying women have a right, but in Sharia. And myself, and even Afghan women, they are Muslim, and they are know about our right. They don't have problem with the hijab, with the chadars, but we want to the Taliban explain about the Sharia, which kind of right they are want to for the Afghan women. they come to nicely, kindly to talk with us, to explain for us our policy for the women, and we should to find to trust them, to leave for our job. Now we are not understand. They are nice talking on the media about women's rights, about the girls go to school. They are not explaining more on this. But many school isn't closed in Afghanistan. But many women is worried a lot about our future. And I hope Taliban first, as soon as possible, to make our government, and second, to explain the women's right, because most of the population in Afghanistan, 50% of population is Afghan women. They should do very serious about this issue. But how much I know Taliban, they are very fanatic ideology, but then I hope they are changed, because now the generation is day by day is growing
right
up.
Okay, well, let me just come in there and ask you, Fatana, up until a few days ago, there were women who were reading the news, for example, on television, and quite a lot of pictures of women on the streets of Afghanistan. There were big posters and billboards and that sort of thing. Are there still women reading the news on television? Are there still posters of women on the streets?
Very little bit, because a lot of activities from the journalists on the television and radio is now they stop, because the girls, the women, they are working in the media. They are not feel secret. They are afraid. But very little bit women on the street. Many women, they are not believe the situation because it is very confusing situation. Is no government in Afghanistan, and Taliban was also soldiers is very strange people, and we are worried about this kind of situation. And I hope soon as possible they are make our government to explain everything. We don't like to be too much hot government by the name of Islam. We don't like to Islam. They use the name of Islam in the wrong way.
Okay, but when the Taliban say that they're going to respect women's rights, but under Sharia, what do you understand that to mean?
Yes, Sharia is every Afghanistan people on an all Afghan history. They are Muslim people, and they have no problem with the Sharia. But Sharia is need a very honest and it's a good government. And Sharia is not beating, killing, to not work for human rights, for human being. Sharia is, we don't have no problem with the Sharia, but problem with the people using the name of the Sharia in the wrong way. I understand my right in Islam. What is in Haram, what is in Halal. I understand these things. All Afghan women understand. But the problem is the security. The problem is the leader of the Taliban. They should not have too much fanatic. They should be nice with our sister. To be listen our sister, to work for them, to take care about the widow women, to take care about the children. Many millions of children, they are orphaned.
I'm going to have to come in there. I apologize for interrupting you, but we'll come back to you in a second, in a couple of minutes. So please stay with us, because we want to talk with you some more. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with Fatana Gailani, one of Afghanistan's leading campaigners for women's rights. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, my current guest, Fatana Gailani, a leading advocate for women's rights in Afghanistan. And one of the big questions now is what will happen to Afghan women. Up till recently, they were visible on TV screens and on billboards, and the Taliban have given assurances that their rights will be respected, even though their words don't appear to match their actions. And there have been reports of women being beaten and assailed. On Monday, Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai, who was shot aged 15 by the Taliban for campaigning for girls' education in Pakistan, expressed concern about the situation and called for the safety of women and girls in the country to be guaranteed. On Tuesday, the Taliban declared an amnesty across Afghanistan and said it wanted women to join its government. Afghanistan's women and girls are now waiting to see how life pans out under Taliban rule, as fears and uncertainties remain while there is no government in charge. Well, Fatana Gailani, director of the Afghanistan Women's Council, is still with me from Kabul. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. I hope you can hear me because your picture appears to be frozen there. I wonder if you're a very prominent voice for women. You're a very prominent voice. You're a very prominent voice for women in Afghanistan. I'm told that have we got her? Okay. I hope you can hear me, but you're a very prominent voice for women in Afghanistan. If the Taliban asked you, I mean, they've said that they would like women to be part of their government. If the Taliban asked you to join their government, would you do that? Would you join a government led by the Taliban?
Yeah, first we want to see the government. I pray as soon as possible Taliban is make our government. We want to see the government. And second, we want to know about the policy of the government for Afghanistan for the future. And second, of course, if they are inviting me to come to work with us, of course I'm going to work because I'm working more than 4 decades for my country, for my people, for especially for women's rights, for human rights. But now it is important for Afghan women in the country. This is how Taliban is honest with us, because a woman is afraid a lot because 21 years ago, when Taliban was the power, there was different Taliban. Now they are talking very kindly, very nicely, and we hope they are really honestly honest with the women, what they think they are saying to us. We want to see the nice with us, or they're just to say we are give the woman's right. Just we are waiting is emergency situation now in Afghanistan. We are waiting sometimes more. We're looking what's happening in the future.
Well, looking at that future, now that the Taliban are back, and looking at it in the context of the things that you yourself have done to advance the cause of women's rights in Afghanistan. I mean, I looked through the internet, there's so much of you there, so people have a lot of respect for the work that you've done. You've helped Afghan women make a lot of gains. Do you fear that you're going to see those gains reversed?
My work is very kind, it's very nice. In this many 7 years, like in Ashraf Ghani times, I am not work with the government. I was an independent organization, but I work very nicely, kindly for my people. People trust me, and for me, it's important in the government. Now, in the Taliban government, it gives us to promise to show us they are support us and they are caring about my security, about the woman's security, not only me, all Afghan women's security. Of course, we are working, we are helping. It is very difficult time for my country, for my people. I like to be help them, to support them. For this is I come to give interview to you, and I put my voice to the international community, to all the people in the world. Please, please, not leave alone Afghanistan. And please, I'm asking from all the governments, from Western the country, from United States, to please to stop this war, to stop, to help Afghan people, to help Afghan women, just to put very bad pictures like now in the Afghan Kabul Airport. Why they are making like this? Why they are not making very kindly, nicely help people to take him out of the country? We are not anyone. We want to be very nice with us. Look to my people, how they are afraid from our life. This is for us is important. If the Western country in United States is honest with us, and they should to be solve this issue. We want peace, peace and security and good government to support Afghan people to stop this warring. Now is 43 years. Afghan people is lost everything. And now the world, what they want from us, we want to peace. Of course, if the war is going on like this, is fighting is going on, and they supporting this unresponsible government like before government, how should two women be changed in our life?
Well, yes. I think you've certainly made the point, and I can understand where you're coming from and the passion that you feel and the concern that you feel. But you mentioned those chaotic scenes at Kabul Airport with thousands of people desperately trying to run away, to flee, and all those Taliban checkpoints to get through on the way. Do you know a lot of women who are trying to leave the country? And does the fact that you've got a lot of Taliban checkpoints rule out them making a run for it?
Please, sir, you should to know this is the Canada government say we support 20,000 people, and the American said we support 1,000 people, and another country also said we support 2,000 women. And people is think if they go without visa, without passport to the airport. This is not a solution for Afghan people. If the world is nice with Afghan people, they should to listen to Afghan people's voice. They want to stop this war. And who is behind of this war? And we want to stop it, this war. And we want to peace and security for Afghanistan. Now, as a situation in the airport is very, very bad. It's very, very sad. When I'm listening, it makes me very upset. And 3-5 boys, young boys, is died in the airport. And now is because the wrong policy of the Western.
Okay. Well, Fatana, we've got less than a minute before we have to end the chat. Just tell us briefly, what are your gravest fears for women? Because the Taliban are said to be going door to door. What do you fear will happen if the militants start behaving the way they behaved 20 years ago?
I'm worried about this is if the government, the Taliban is not make soon as possible our government, and also the Western country, they should to become in Afghanistan to support the Taliban government and to support the Afghan people. And also I want to know about the law in Taliban. This thing is very important in this moment for Afghan women.
I want to thank you very much indeed, Fatana Gailani, Director of the Afghanistan Women's Council. Thank you, and Fatana was talking to me there from Kabul. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Kabul and the United States and around the world, bye-bye and thank you for watching.